I'm going to get started, if that's okay with everyone. And I don't see that there's any other manager on the call at the moment. So if anyone's in the waiting lobby, can you let me know why I'm sharing my screen and I'll let them in. We have 4 modules left. I have spoken to Julia that whatever we don't finish this evening, because I don't really want to be running into your evening as much as we already are, I will record the rest on Friday and you can watch the rest on YouTube. So whatever we don't finish today, you can re-watch on YouTube, just so that we don't eat into your whole evening. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm ready for bed. So here we go. We were on module, oh, here we go. Right. We were on module 3. Can you all see my screen?
Yes.
Amazing.
Yes.
And let's see what tricky words I have to pronounce tonight. Right. So module 3 is physical, chemical, and allergenic hazards. So what I would ask, obviously, to try and get through this quite quickly, if we could, when it comes to the quizzes and the question and answers, if we could be quite prompt, and then obviously it would delay the amount, delay that what we get through. Oh God, no, everyone's joining. 2 seconds. Right. I will start when people. Can anyone else admit them? Or is it only me that I can admit them into the chat?
I think
I
it's just
can
you,
too,
Kate.
for some reason.
I can't. I
can?
can't even see it.
April.
April, if they come through, can you let them in for me?
Yeah, of course.
Amazing. Thank you. Right. So number 1 is in the introduction to what we're doing today. So this module, we're going to look about identifying physical, chemical, and allergenic hazards and understand how they can be controlled at all stages of food prep. Explain the threat posed by allergenic foods. There are 14 named food allergens, and give examples of controls that may limit the threat from the food allergens. So the introduction is, as well as microbiological hazards, there are also illnesses caused as a result of physical, chemical, and allergenic contamination. These illnesses can be just as severe, so it's important that we understand how they get into our food and how to control them. And we're going to look at physical hazards. There are items that can be harmful and should not be in food. Although they will not cause poisoning, they can cause broken teeth, cuts to the mouth, and any particular concern with children choking. So we're going to click on the images below, and there ain't none. So physical things that can be put in food is obviously where the food gets cooked in the manufacturer's company. There might be a broken machine, which might have things on here. And how do we control them? Ensure the design of the premises and equipment are constructed to reduce the risk of physical contamination. Check the equipment and premises for sign of damage before each use, and then remove and replace it before it's used again. Make sure staff know how to report damages. Have no glass in the kitchen policy or a process for dealing with breakages safely. Have clothing with reduced physical parts such as poppers instead of buttons, and no pockets to keep objects in. Wear a head covering to prevent hair falling into food. And have an effective pest control contract in place and carry out regular checks for signs of activity. How to reduce the risk of children choking. So we will know about prep food. Ensure that any stones, pips from fruit before serving, Cut small round foods like grapes, strawberries and cherry tomatoes lengthways and into quarters. Cut large fruits like melon or hard fruits or vegetables like raw apple and carrots into slices instead of small chunks. Do not offer raisins as a snack to children under 12 months, although these can be chopped up as part of a meal. Soft and hard fruit and vegetables such as carrot and apple, and remove the skins when first given to babies from around 6 months. Sausages should be avoided due to their high salt content, but if offered to children, these should be cut into thin strips rather than chunks and remove the skin. Remove bones from meat and fish. Do not give whole fruits to children under the age of whole nuts, under the children under 5. Do not give whole seeds to children under the age of 5 years old. Cut cheese into strips rather than chunks. Do not give popcorn as a snack. Do not give children marshmallows or jelly cubes from a packet, either to eat or as part of messy play. These can get stuck in their throat. And do not give children hard sweets. So they're the food prep, and the supervision, as we all know, is in the EYFS. Infants and young children should be treated seated safely in a high chair or appropriate size low chair while eating. Infants and young children should never be left alone while they're eating, and staff should be familiar with paediatric first aid advice for children on choking. And there's obviously the link to the EYFS about choking. And some more links here as well. What I might do is go back in when I get time, get the links and just share them in the chat at some point. Chemicals can enter food at any stage of the process. For example, food source, pesticides and weed killers could be present in some veg or salad items. Some could also be grown in land contaminated with lead or copper. Veterinary medicines can enter meat products if not used correctly, such as antibiotics. In deliveries, if the delivery van is used to transport chemicals as well as food, these could potentially leak out into the food if not separated properly, or if the van isn't cleaned between use. And preparation and storage. Using fly sprays or cleaning products near open food is a common problem, as storing hazard chemicals in food areas. If chemical containers aren't labelled as such, there is a chance they could be used for the incorrect task. They may also be used for storage of food once empty, which presents a risk of contamination even if washed. If cleaning chemical usage instructions are not followed properly, such as dosage and contact time, residue can be left on the equipment or on surfaces if not fully rinsed as required. And how do we control them? You get chemicals delivered separately and packed separately away from food. Store chemicals away from food, ideally in lockable storage. Reject any contaminated deliveries. Do not use cleaning sprays or fly sprays near unprotected food. Wash fresh foods that come to remove pesticides. Dilute, rinse and use chemicals as the instructions on the bottle. Do not reuse chemical containers for food storage and label chemical containers. Oh, here we go. Acrylamide, whatever you call that, is a chemical which can be released during cooking of starch foods of carbohydrates rich in product, which is cooked over 120 degrees. It can occur during baking, frying, grilling, toasting and roasting. It is not thought to be harmful in small amounts, but over time having too much can be linked to cancers, and also new legislation was brought in to reduce our consumption. Foods affected are bread, chips, crisps, potatoes, cereal and baked goods like biscuits. As a setting, you will need to ensure that food handlers are aware of the hazard of this pesticide, whatever that is, and simple the measures to take place. These are: don't store potatoes in the fridge, keep them at room temperature to reduce the amount of sugar formed, which increases the chemical. Cook and bake foods to a golden yellow colour as opposed to dark brown, and use the right kind of oil for frying. Ask your supplier to change it regularly, and you fry below 175 degrees. Allergenic hazards. Allergens are ingredients in foods which usually proteins that can cause adverse reaction to the body's immune system. These reactions can include trouble swallowing, an itchy throat and mouth, skin rashes, breathing problems and swelling due to the face. They can sometimes be life-threatening if they result in anaphylactic shock. Some allergies may be mild and can be managed through food choices, but for those with severe allergies, it is critical that allergens are not part of their diet, and anyone preparing food for them is firstly aware of their allergy, and ensure strict food prep practices are carried out, even as a small amount can trigger some people's allergies. Some people had food intolerance to certain ingredients as opposed to an allergy, and this usually includes dairy, caffeine, wheat, and gluten. For these people, they will not suffer allergic reaction, but they will suffer severe discomfort. Symptoms can be tummy pains, diarrhea, nausea, and a rash, and are usually only experienced when more than trace amounts are consumed. Many foods can cause allergies, but there are 14 common ones listed that have been labelled on food packaging, including those direct for sale. Anaphylactic shock. Anaphylaxis happens when the blood pressure drops below very low. The face and throat may swell, leading to breathing difficulties, redness to the face, dizziness, confusion, and it could even lead to severe distress. If this ever happens, you should call for an ambulance immediately and make it very clear that the person is suffering from anaphylactic shock. An adrenaline pen, like an EpiPen, should be used by someone who knows how to use it. Any child in the setting with a severe allergy should have 2 EpiPens in the setting, one as a backup in case of a malfunction. The child should not be moved. It is very important that these are in date and that the dates are checked regularly. The controlling of the allergens. The consequences of not controlling allergens in your setting can be fatal. It is so vital that you as a food handler understand the controls and your responsibilities. Early year settings and your food provider should work closely with families to support children with allergies or tolerances. As part of the EYFS, you are required to obtain information about a child's dietary requirements, including food allergies and intolerances, before they attend, and record and act on any information provided about the child's dietary needs. There should be a protocol in place which is accessible to all staff to ensure that everyone is fully aware of the child's allergies and symptoms. Understand which allergens are present in every meal and snack you provide is an important step of providing food which is safe for children with food allergies and intolerances. Since 2014, all food businesses, including early year settings, have been required by law to give details about allergens in the food they provide. You must retain full ingredients listings for all the meals you prepare. In the kitchen, you should keep allergens separate from other foods in delivery, storage, and food prep and service. Check deliveries to ensure that no allergens have contaminated other foods. Use separate clean areas for preparing food for children with allergies, separate utensils and equipment, and clean cloths. If there's a change in an ingredient or a recipe, make sure the recipe cards are updated. Check labels and ingredients every time you prepare allergy meals to make sure that no ingredients have changed, particularly in the food received or replacement products on deliveries. Never guess. Clearly labelled food containing allergens. Be careful to check for hidden allergens like egg in mayonnaise, sesame in hummus, and peanuts in ground nut oils. Wash hands effectively immediately before preparing allergy meals, and clean down areas and equipment before preparing these meals too. Now you're going to come to some knowledge check. Drag and drop the contaminants into the correct category. So we have some allergens here and we have some chemicals. So we've got 4 topics: physical, chemical, microbiological, and allergenic. So if we start from the bottom and then we can work our way up. So let's be quick on this. Can you shout them through and then I'll put them in the right boxes? So shellfish. Well, shellfish, ladies.
Allergenic.
Allergenic.
It is, yep. It's one of the allergens. Toxin.
Chemical.
Microbiological.
We put it in. What one do you want to put it in? Chemical, we stick it in.
Microbiological. Yeah, the one.
There we go. Yeah, exactly, Carol. Pesticide.
Micro.
Chemical.
Sorry.
I would say chemical. Maybe.
Yeah.
Milk.
Allergenic.
Yep, that is an allergen. Celery.
Allergen.
Yep. Egg.
Allergen. Sorry.
That's all right. Virus.
Microbiological. Is it? Yes, or no, people.
We give it a go. We give it a go. Hair.
Physical.
Drawing pin.
Physical.
Glass.
Physical.
Physical.
Antibiotic.
Chemical.
I'd say chemical.
Yep. Spoilage bacteria.
Microbiological.
Microbiological.
Yeah, that one.
Jewelry.
Physical.
Oh,
Soya.
allergenic.
Allergen.
Yep. Red kidney beans.
Allergenic.
Physical.
I think we discussed this yesterday. I think this was a microbiological, do you know, because of the what it releases.
Oh, you got to wash them and that, ain't you?
Yeah. Sesame.
Uh,
Allergen.
allergenic.
Yeah. Cereal.
Physical.
Oh,
Oh no.
I'm going gin.
Oh. That's a hard one. Put that one back.
Okay. Bone.
Physical.
Physical.
Allergenic.
Allergenic.
Parasite.
Micro.
Is
Or
it not
chemical?
a chemical?
Is it not physical?
I would say it's a chemical, no?
A parasite is a living
Oh,
thing.
a parasite is an insect, isn't it? Like a bug.
Yeah, I'd go physical.
Yeah. Mold.
Micro.
Yeah.
Bleach.
Chemical.
Stones.
Physical.
Physical.
Pathogens.
Microbiological.
Micro.
Logical.
Oil.
Physical. No. Chemical. No. Put it back.
Where do you want oil?
We
It's
don't want
physical.
oil. We're not playing with that one.
Insect.
Physical.
Wire.
Physical.
Oil.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Chemical. What's
Yeah.
that? Are we talking cooking?
Cereal.
Yeah, are we talking cooking oil
Allergenic.
that we use to heat our house?
What was that?
Are we talking cooking oil or are we talking oil that we use to heat our house?
Don't know. And cereal.
Allergenic.
Allergenic.
Let's have a look. Partially correct. Show the answer button to see what we've got wrong.
Oh, we don't
So
know.
red kidney beans was a chemical. Oil was a chemical. I think, yeah, that's it. Not too bad. Well done. Crack on. Self-assessment questions. Physical contamination of food can cause serious injury. Where can physical contamination occur? Only during storage in the chillers, during its manufacture, at all stages of its life, or only during food prep?
All stages.
Yep. Correct. Which of the following foods could cause choking in young children? Sausages, cut into strips with the skin moved, raw jelly cubes, grapes cut lengthways into quarters, or soft fruit with stone and pits removed. And it's select one.
Jelly
Jelly.
cubes.
Jelly.
Jelly.
I love a jelly cube.
I used to love eating jelly cubes when I was younger.
So did I.
My mum
Yeah.
was obsessed with that.
Which of the following is not a cremelade? Store potatoes in the fridge, fry below 175 degrees, use the right kind of oil for frying and change it regularly, or cook and bake foods in a golden yellow colour as opposed to dark brown. And again, select one.
What's the question?
Which of the
following is not a
For an
control?
aquilomile.
Yeah.
Storing potatoes in the fridge.
Yeah, they need to go in somewhere in a dark place.
Place
Fridge
that
they
does
can grow.
Yep,
Oh, I store mine in the fridge,
I do.
just
So.
like me eggs.
Which of the following should you not do when preparing meals for children with allergies? Guess the allergens in ingredients. You said before, so it'd be okay. Wash your hands thoroughly during prep. Clean down separate area and use all clean equipment, or check the child's allergy record and labels on the ingredient. And the answer is, should you not do?
One.
Guess the allergens.
Number
Got
one.
one.
Yes, that's correct. So in summary, in this module, we've identified physical, chemical, and allergenic hazards and understood how they can be controlled at all stages of food prep. We've also understood the threat posed by allergenic foods, including the 14 named allergens. We've also learned about essential controls that may limit the threat from food allergens. So well done, ladies. Module 4, safe food prep and storage. There's a lot of modules in this one. Let's go. Number 1, the introduction. At this, we will learn to explain what controls are needed to handle and prepare food safely, including how to thaw, cook, cool, reheat, and hold hot food, as well as how to properly take food temperatures, understand the importance of good personal hygiene and what that means with regards to hand washing, clothing, and reporting illness. Explain safe procedures of food deliveries and storage to reduce the risk of contamination, including allergens and their correct food labelling process. So now we look at the different food safety hazards and understand how they can result in harm, physical, chemical, and microbiological and allergenic. We will now look at how they can be controlled during delivery, storage, and food prep stages to prevent contamination of foods and growth of harmful bacteria. So supply and delivery. It's essential that you only purchase food from reputable suppliers and demonstrated a commitment to high standards of food hygiene. They should be able to show that they have maintained high risk foods at safe temperatures during transport. Use high quality delivery vehicles that are clean, well maintained and capable of holding foods at a safe temperature. Supply high quality products for your specs, and use the least hazardous ingredients such as pre-washed vegetables or pasteurized eggs. So delivery. The main hazards with food deliveries that are food can be contaminated if the packaging is damaged or they're not loaded into the van properly to ensure that correct segregation between raw and ready-to-eat foods. If deliveries are delayed and the fan fridge is not working correctly, this can lead to high temperatures, causing the growth of harmful bacteria. High-risk food should be delivered at 5 degrees air temperature with a maximum product temperature of 8 degrees in accordance with your food safety systems. Who hands up here when you get a food delivery quickly? Who asks what their fridge and freezer temperature is when they deliver your food? Yeah, not many. You trust them, don't you? So yeah, check. So you need to check every delivery carefully for freshness, temperature, colour, odour, signs of contamination by pest allergens or raw and ready to eat mixing. So if they put the raw and ready to eat food in the same bag, no damaged packaging and correct labelling and all in date. Reject any deliveries that have high-risk foods, including raw meat and raw fish, delivered above 8 degrees. Frozen foods that are not solid, they should be below -18. Reject at anything below -12 or higher. Foods with signs of pest activity, out-of-date foods, uncovered foods of those which are damaged in packaging, showing signs of contamination by allergens, or between raw and ready-to-eat items. So packaging. When the delivery man brings your packaging, ideally external packaging should be removed outside the kitchen as it can contain a source of bacteria. If this is not possible, try and keep it on the floor or thoroughly cleaned out any worktops, as it may have been in contact with. So see later modules on how to do this. Refrigerate. You should aim to get all your frozen and fridge food in the fridge temperatures within 20 minutes of being delivered. As part of your HACC plan, you're required to keep any records of your delivery temperatures and record reasons why you rejected delivery items. This will help keep you any traces of food from food poisoning ingredients. So when you get your Tesco delivery, make sure you ask what his freezer temperature is. And when it comes in, if you know your chef's not going to be there for another hour and a half, don't leave it on the side, please. Use by, best before, and stock rotation. As well as checking date labels on deliveries, dates and fresh products should be checked daily to ensure that no out-of-date food is used. These may be harmful after this time. Frozen products should be checked monthly. There is, however, a difference between use by and best before, which we will look at. You may also make, cool and refrigerate or freeze your own foods, so it can be important that you also label these foods to know how long they've been put in the freezer. So use by. These dates are usually used on a high risk perishable items that need to be kept in the fridge. After this date, the food is not safe to eat and should not be cooked or frozen, and it must be thrown away. It is illegal to store foods, store or use foods after this date. You should always try to prepare food fresh on the day for that day. This is the safest option, particularly for the vulnerable population like young children. If you make your own foods to be consumed later, these should be given a 48-hour shelf life on date of production plus 2 days. So if a meal is cooked on a Monday, if a meal is cooked and cooled on a Monday, this should be labelled with a discard date of a Wednesday. Discard dates come into play at midnight. For open foods like sauces or packed cooked meats, always follow the manufacturer's instructions and labels accordingly. Always check fresh food to see if they are suitable to be frozen. Previously frozen fresh foods should never be refrozen. And the quality of some foods will deteriorate if frozen. Always freeze foods on the day of purchase. And just a little bit of an insight, the supermarket, if they get inspected and there's an out-of-date product on their shelves, they get a fine up to £10,000 per item. And I know that because my mum used to work in a supermarket. It's best before. These dates are indicated of quality, not safety. It is not illegal to sell, use, store or use foods after this date, except raw eggs, but the quality may not be as good. You may therefore decide as a setting and to have a policy of not using foods after this date. You can sometimes also find sell by or display until on items too. These are just instructions for the staff at the shop. So stock rotation. This is a method used to ensure that older food is used before the new food, so you don't waste any food or run the risk of using out-of-date items. This is often called FIFO, meaning first in, first out. Put the best before dates below in the correct order to ensure the oldest item is at the top and the front of the shelf, and this would be first used. So come on then, ladies, get your maths going. We've got to put the oldest item at the top. You go with that one? Oh, how'd you drag? Oh, what? Oh, what is this doing? What is
Claire,
this doing?
there's 1, 2, 3, 4 along goes to the right rather than that's it.
Okay. The number 1 was done, yeah?
Yeah.
What's next?
621 at the bottom.
Yep. Well, this is really confusing me, ladies. Why is it all moving like that? Yep. Where's the one gone we just chose?
So he's probably put it back.
Me? Never.
There it is. What do you do? Oh my goodness.
1,
Why is it going like that?
Oh, what?
Yeah.
But the best one.
But let's just go. Let's just shout it out and we just skip it. So we've said number 1 is correct. What would go next?
So one,
Number
Number
four.
so number 2.
No.
Number
Number
2.
one,
Then 4.
one's not
Hang
correct
on.
now, is it?
Right.
So it'd be,
So, oh my gosh.
2, 1, 4,
4,
5, 3.
5, and 3.
Yeah. But we know we got it right. But yeah, whatever. Dry storage. Dry stores are used to keep foods that are low risk and can be stored at room temperature. Although low risk foods in these areas should need to be stored correctly to prevent contamination by pests, mold, discoloration, and staleness. Dry stores should be used to store dry pasta, herbs, and spices and potatoes. Click below to learn how about. I can't scroll down.
Oh, you broke it.
Oh. Oh. Can't even see the writing. Sorry, ladies. It's not me. It's the dodgy website today.
On the safeguarding one that I did, I couldn't play a video because it wouldn't play.
Oh.
There was nothing there to play.
Okay, well, I can't click
Sorry.
here. I'm so sorry. But yeah, obviously, to store dry, I always store my dry foods like pasta and stuff higher in
In the
my
fridge.
shelf. Not in my fridge, higher up, and I keep my tin stuff low. Chilled and frozen storage. Chilled storage. High-risk perishable items need to be kept refrigerated to prevent most pathogenic bacteria from multiplying and to slow down the rate of food spoilage. Fridges themselves should be located in a well-ventilated area away from sources of heat, such as ovens and direct sunlight, to stop them from overheating and breaking down. Commercial fridges are designed to perform better than domestic fridges and can tolerate the door being opened more frequently. The law states that chilled foods should be kept below 8 degrees, so if you need to set your fridge to run between 2 and 5 degrees to do so. Commercial fridges are often fitted with a temperature display, and these should be checked twice a day to ensure the fridge is working properly. You should record these as part of your HACCP records. It's a good idea to place a clean probe thermometer in any item of food inside the fridge once a week to make sure an accurate reading. Being careful to probe can't contaminate any foods, so have a separate probe for raw foods only. Fridge thermometers can also be purchased and placed inside the unit. Cross-contamination can easily occur in fridges, so it's important that foods are stored in the correct place, ready to eat above raw and always covered. Ideally, if you have a space, keep one fridge for raw foods only. The basic rule to remember for safe chilled foods are: never overload the fridge. Some are fitted with cold load lines. Keep raw foods below ready to eat foods or in a separate fridge. Cover and date labels on all foods. Check dates every day and discard any out-of-date damaged food. Clean the fridge regularly and clean spillages straight away. Don't forget the seals. They can get very dirty and hard to keep clean if not kept on top of. Check the temperature twice a day and keep records. Replace damaged seals and other parts as soon as possible. Don't place food in front of the fan or the cooling unit as the air will not circulate. Keeping space between foods will also keep the air circulation. Put new stock behind old. Don't put open cans in the fridge as the food will become metallic, tasting and tainted. I do that. Never put hot food in the fridge. Never put hot food in the fridge to cool down, as other foods in the fridge will heat up and it may damage your fridge. See if you can reorder the items in the correct area of the fridge, with 1 being at the top of the shelf and number 5 being at the bottom. So, number 5 being the bottom. What did you put at the very bottom?
Raw meats.
Yep. Oh, there we go. And then what would be next? Would you say cooked? Would you say cooked meats?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shouldn't it be unwashed vegetables?
Well, most fridges have a
Drawer.
salad tray, don't they? A drawer.
I'd put dairy at the top. Number one. Oh,
I
but
would
then
put,
would you put cooked meats below dairy and then your prepared salad at number 3 and then your unwashed on number 4 and then your raw meat at number 5?
do you want to change it?
That's how I would
Would
have my fridge.
you put this one at number 4? Yeah, the unwashed veg.
Yeah, I would.
And
I say
then
this, my fridge don't look like that, but
no, mine don't.
Top.
Anyone else?
Athena's going to put her vegetables. Vegetables where? At the top. At the top.
Did you put the unwashed fruit and
Washed
veg at the
or-
top, Athena? We leave it as that. Should we give that one a go?
Yeah.
Yeah. Partially incorrect. So let's have a look. We've got one more attempt. Oh, I'll reset.
I want to go on where? Oh, let's say where. I didn't even. The question is,
Should we-
where would you put your uncooked fruit and veg?
Yeah.
That's it.
We give that one a go.
Near the middle. Near the middle. Okay.
Let's show her the answer. So it's dairy at the top, cooked meats and other ready-to-eat foods next, prepared salad, unwashed fruit and veggies, and then wrapped and raw meat. Frozen storage. Commercial freezers work at a temperature between -18 and -22 to prevent growth of spores and pathogenic bacteria of foods. Remember, though they are not killed by freezing, they just remain dormant, ready to grow once again defrosted. If the temperature rises above 10 degrees, spoilage organisms like molds and yeast can grow. Safe controls for the freezer are essential, the same as for fridges. So we do not need to repeat them here. Foods in freezers can be packed more tightly together, but new stock still needs to be placed under or behind older stock. You should still prepare raw and ready-to-eat foods where possible. The table below is a guide of shelf lives in the different kind of foods. Always check the manufacturer's labelling on how long you can store your food in the freezer. So there we go. So your veggies and your meat can last for 12 months in the freezer. However, your leftovers and your winter soups don't last that long. What to do if your fridge or freezer breaks down? Foods out of refrigeration can be kept and used for up to 4 hours. Call out an engineer and remember to segregate raw and ready-to-eat products throughout. So when your fridge breaks down, when your electric used to run out, when your key meter on used to think, oh my God, when a temperature checks shows that a fridge is above the temperature, to try and adjust it manually. If a manual adjustment is ineffective, call out your service engineer. Probe the temperature of the high-risk food item in the fridge every 30 minutes with a clean, disinfected probe, keeping the door closed as much as possible. If the high fridge temperature is discovered on arrival in the morning, then all the food may need to be discarded if above 8 degrees, as the time of the breakdown will not be known. When a repair service is complete, probe temperature every half an hour until it's back within acceptable limits. So there's a little bit of summary there. Your freezer, when temperature checks show that a freezer is above the temperature, try to adjust it manually. If not, then call out your engineer again. Keep the freezer door closed as much as possible. If the food becomes warmer than -12 degrees, it must be treated and labelled as a defrosted item and placed in a working chiller or cooked. Transfer still frozen food that is -15 or lower to a new working freezer. Any ice cream, sorbet or quick frozen meat products should be discarded if gone soft, as these are high risk. and ready to eat high risk foods should not be refrozen. Knowledge check. What is the main purpose of stock rotation? Select one. To make sure that food is used in date order, to prevent foods from coming damaged, to identify which foods to order, and to stock check, make your stock checks quicker.
Number one.
Top
Number
one.
Yep, top. What is the legal temperature for storage of food in a refrigerator? 10, 8, above 8 or below 5?
5 or below.
5.
Oh, I thought it was 8.
I think correct, Cal, I think it is 8. I think that's a legal requirement. Yeah. What is the maximum acceptable temperature for the delivery of frozen foods? -8, -12, -18 or -22?
-12.
-12.
Which is the maximum temperature? You say
-22.
-12? I would say that's the lowest, isn't it? So what's the maximum?
-22.
Oh, incorrect.
Oh, -18.
Oh, show the answer. -12. Sorry. Apologies,
Oh.
ladies. Which of the following what was that? Do not know. Which of the following statements are true for any storage of dry foods? Spillages can be cleaned up once a week. The store should be well lit and ventilated. Foods can be uncovered as a low risk, or food should be kept off the floor. I would say keep it off the floor for the pests. What do you reckon?
Yeah.
Yep. Oh, select all that apply. Sorry, there's more than one.
It should be well lit and ventilated.
Probably, yeah. Food prep. The two main hazards when we need to control during food prep are multiplications of harmful bacteria and cross-contamination. The associated controls for multiplication of bacteria and therefore time and temperature. For cross-contamination, these controls are separation of raw and ready to eat, good personal hygiene, and good cleaning practices. Defrosting. Some foods need to be fully defrosted before cooking, their label will advise. The most important thing is to remember that frozen food should be defrosted overnight in a fridge, not at room temperature. This is because at room temperature, the surface temperature of the food will rise above 8 degrees in the danger zone, meaning bacteria will be able to grow whilst the core temperature will still be frozen. Keeping in the fridge keeps the temperature below 8 degrees. Even uneven defrosting can mean the core cooking temperature isn't reached. You should also be aware of this if using the microwave to defrost your items. Frozen poultry or fish should never be defrosted under cold water due to the cross-contamination in the sink and your surrounds. And see the checklist for any other safe defrosting procedures. Defrost raw meat and poultry in a separate fridge or area from ready to eat foods where you can. If there isn't a separate fridge, defrost them below the ready to eat foods. Make sure the tray you place them in is big enough to catch all the defrosting liquid, particularly for raw foods, as this can drip and cause cross-contamination. Don't overload the defrosting trays, as will slow down the process. Check whole chickens are defrosted properly by seeing if the joints can move freely and there are no icicles on the body. Date label defrosted items according to the manufacturer's instructions on the label and usually within 24 hours of defrosting. Always clean and disinfect any worktops, trays or sinks where food's been defrosted, and never refreeze defrosted items. Cooking and reheating. If foods are not cooked properly, then harmful bacteria will survive. Foods can still be contaminated during this process too. To ensure your cooking equipment and utensils are clean and in good condition, products should be cooked or reheated to at least 75 at the end of cooking. Reheating temperature in Scotland must reach 82. Always check temperatures with a pro thermometer, as as foods can look cooked on the surface but may not be inside. Clear juices with no blood are an indication for cooked meats and poultry, but they aren't always wholly accurate. Never taste food that is cooking with the same utensil, as this will cause contamination. Use a clean utensil for each time for tasting. Stir foods in to ensure that it's evenly cooked. Only ever reheat food once to reduce the risk of bacterial growth and germination of spores. And keep pans covered to stop physical contamination like insects. This will also save your setting energy. Cooling. Bacteria that have survived the cooking process can be present in cooling foods that could lead to germination of spores and production of toxins if foods are not cooled quick enough. It is best to consider cooling as a continuation of the cooking process, as it's just as important to do so correctly. Ideally, food should be cooled within 90 minutes. Cool food for a maximum of 90 minutes until it reaches 8 degrees, then refrigerate. We don't have a blast chiller or an ice bath. The food must achieve a core temperature of below 8 degrees within 90 minutes. If the temperature is not achieved, then the food is safe to eat for a maximum of 4 hours afterwards, but then after that it should be thrown. And there are some safe cooling guides there. And we have a video. Let's watch the video. Oh, I can't watch it. There's no, can't watch it. Apologies. Cold holding. You might use chilled display units or salad bars. The temperature and time here is important to stop the bacteria from growing. In this case, as a fridge, you need to keep the food below 8 degrees. If the temperature rises above 8 degrees, the food must be used within 4 hours. So if you can't keep foods below 8 degrees for a buffet, for example, then after 4 hours you must discard. And always use clean containers and never top up foods by placing new items on old. And hot holding, you might need to keep foods warm before service. The temperature here is important too to stop bacteria from growing. Hot foods must be kept above 63 degrees. If it drops below this temperature, it should be used within 2 hours. If you use a hot display counter, take the temperature of the food when it goes into the unit and then again after 2 hours and record in your records. Any hot holding equipment should be switched on well in advance of use to ensure it's reached the right temperature before you put your food in. Lid should always also be used to protect the food. Never top up containers and placing new food on old. So when you go to your all-you-eat buffet in the Chinese restaurant, just make sure they do it correctly. Food should be cooked to a core temperature of, we've got to slide my little scale. So food should be cooked to a core temperature of
75.
75. Correct. Defrosting raw food should be placed in the
Fridge.
fridge overnight. It should be kept away from ready to eat foods. Oh, ready
You
to
added
eat
foods.
to ice. Really? Where possible, food should be cooled within how many minutes?
90.
Yeah? Correct, Carol. Or food should be cooled with a maximum time of, this is hours.
2, 1.
Who's saying that?
Zoe.
What you're saying, 2 or 1?
Food should be cooled within the maximum.
It should be maximum. I'll say 2, 1.
We say 2.
2.
1.
4. Oh yeah, once
4?
it's eaten, you've got to eat it within 4 hours.
Oh.
Oh. Question 4, something or something can be used to speed up the cooling process. It was an ice bath, wasn't it? We don't have one of those. And what was it? A blasting?
Blast chiller. The blast chiller?
I think so. Oh. Stupid thing. Cooling food should be kept away from something to prevent cross-contamination and kept covered to prevent something cross-contamination. That cross. Cooling food should be kept away from
Raw meat? No. Ready to eat?
Other foods?
I would say raw foods or
Raw foods.
yeah,
we're
raw
saying raw
foods.
foods. Really? When have I said physical contamination? I said cross-contamination about 20,000 times. Cold foods should be only kept at room temperature for a maximum of how many hours?
2?
4.
Was this question not already asked?
I think so. Correct, 4 hours. Hot food should be kept at what temperature or above?
63?
53. Go on, Carol.
Do you
Yep.
think?
A star for Carol. Hot
I'm
foods should be
employee of the month again.
Hot food should be kept at room temperature for how many hours?
Hour and a half.
2.
Oh, wait, no, it's 2 hours. Sorry, 2 hours. Was it hour and a half?
Correct. Amazing. Right, next. So using and maintaining food thermometers. Checking food temperatures. To get the most accurate reading, always take the temperature of the thickest part of the food or the core temperature for at least 30 seconds. If this is 75 degrees, then you can be confident the rest of the product is cooked too. Be careful not to hit a bone or gristle or the food container, as this will affect the reading. Always clean and disinfect the probe needle before and after use to prevent contamination. You can use probe wipes or sanitizer spray and a paper towel, and it should take around 30 seconds. The handset and the button will also need to be cleaned. Probe calibration. In order to make sure your thermometer is accurate, it's important to check that they are good working order by calibrating the probe against the known temperature. You can use ice or boiling water to do this. At least every month, you should always place the needle of the probe into a glass of ice that is started to melt just slightly and take the reading, and then place it in a pan of boiling water, being very careful of the steam. If it's more than 1 degree out, either way, the probe is not accurate and should be replaced or repaired. You can record this action in your food safety management system as part of your due diligence. Knowledge check. How can you properly calibrate your probe thermometer? You've got 4. Place it in the fridge once a month to see if it reads 8. Place it in the freezer each week to see if it reads -18. Place it in iced water weekly or monthly to see if it reads 0. And place it in boiling water weekly or monthly to see if it reaches 100. And you can click more than one. We've just gone over this. Yeah, the last 2. Correct. To check the core temperature of the food, the probe should be placed for 30 seconds and whereabouts?
Thickest part.
In the thickest part, not in gristle. Ugh.
Or bone.
How can you fully clean and disinfect the probe after each use? Do you wipe it on your apron, run it under the tap, put it in water that's really hot, or use a probe wipe for 30 seconds?
Use a probe wipe.
Yeah. Do you use a probe wipe or a spray? Correct. Preventing cross-contamination during food prep. We have now seen how we can control temperatures during stages of food prep to prevent bacterial growth, but it is just important to prevent cross-contamination at these stages as well. So you have separate areas for raw and ready to eat food. Have separate sinks you can wash and rinse raw and dirty veg and salad. Do not use equipment washing sinks for food prep. Use separate equipment for raw and ready to eat food, such as chopping boards and knives, which should be colour coded to identify them. Fully clean your worktop, sinks and taps and handles, even if you're using separate areas. Disposable paper towels are best. Wash your hands properly after handling raw or unwashed food. Handle ready to eat food as little as possible using tongs or suitable utensils. Use disposable aprons for heavy raw meat and poultry prep where you can. Fully clean and disinfect your probe thermometers after each use. And prepare dishes without allergens first and then store them safely. And there are some things here that we've discussed. Food safe service. Foods can be contaminated during service by physical contamination from food handlers or the environment, and by bacteria if food is left out for too long or untouched. Clean hands of equipment. The safe practices for food service are therefore, before serving food, to ensure you and your serving staff hands are clean, uniforms are tidy and clean, your hair is neat and tied back if necessary. Do not touch food directly with your hands unless it's essential. If it's necessary, ensure that they have been thoroughly washed first. Ensure counters or servers are clean and pest-free. Check trays, crockery, cutlery and glassware are clean and free from damage. Serve as quickly as possible once plated. Always hold cutlery and cups by the handles and glassware on the outside. Clear dirty items as soon as possible once a child has finished. And remember, cold food can only be kept safely out for 4 hours and hot food for 2. Personal hygiene. As a food handler, you can be a source of contamination through cross-contamination or physical hazard. For example, not washing your hands after handling raw foods and allergens, or not wearing suitable clothing. It is important that you understand your responsibilities and the safe practices you should be followed so that you don't contaminate foods and potentially cause food poisoning. So your responsibilities are: you have both a moral and legal duty to follow the highest standards of personal hygiene at all times when you're at work. These duties were covered in Module 1. Hand washing and care. Keeping clean hands is one of the most important things you can do to keep the food you prepare and the people consuming it safe. It is also easy to become complacent about it and get out of the habit of doing it properly and at the right times. Watch a video of how to wash your hands effectively and how it compares to your way. Yep, not working again. Okay, so remember the COVID, in your front and back, getting all your in behind your nails, etc. What should you do first when you're washing your hands? Wipe your hands on your apron, put soap on your hands, or wet your hands under warm running water. Do you put soap on dry hands?
I wash your hands under warm running water.
Yeah. Correct. And what should you do last? Turn the tap off with a paper towel you've used to dry your hand. Turn the tap off with your hands or dry your hands.
Turn it off with a paper towel.
Carol, same paper towel.
That's
What should you do?
That's what you do on cruises.
Let's have a look, Carol.
That's what they do in the
Correct.
video.
Correct. The whole process should take around 20 seconds, or the time it takes you to sing Happy Birthday twice. Take a break and go and practice washing your hands. Let's not, because we've got course to finish. It is really good idea to put a poster up by the hand washing basin to show the different types different steps you need to be followed when washing your hands, so you can remind you to do it so correctly. The steps are: wet both hands before prep of your soap and follow the technique below of washing your hands. Rub palm to palm, right palm over back of left hand and left palm over the back of your right hand. Palm to palm with bent and spread out fingers. backs of fingers of opposing palms with fingers interlocked, circular rubbing of left thumb in closed right hand and vice versa, circular rubbing backwards and forwards with right closed and hands and fingertips in a palm and vice versa. And finally, rinse and dry your hands thoroughly. Apologies, my dog is being a bit silly, trying to get my attention, so I'm ignoring her. When to wash your hands. It's important to wash your hands when it counts, not just set frequency. So you wash your hands when entering the kitchen, before handling high-risk foods, after handling raw or unwashed foods, after handling allergens, after coughing and sneezing, using the toilet, after handling rubbish, after going on a break where you could eat and smoke, after handling your food packaging, changing your gloves, after touching your hair, face, nose, and ears and mouth, after cleaning or handling dirty equipment, after changing a nappy, and after cleaning up of an ill child. As you can see, this is very often. So do be best to take sure of your hands regularly by moisturising them at home or using a barrier cream at work when you need to. Fingernails can be a source of contamination too, so keep them short and clean and don't wear nail varnish as this can chip off into food. False nails can't be worn if handling food either. What about gloves? It's a personal choice as to whether you wear gloves if the setting owner has deemed it necessary in your hygiene procedures. It could be that you wear them when handling raw meat and unwashed items for added protection when handling ready-to-eat foods that won't go through any further processing. However, any gloves worn must be a food grade and must remember that gloves themselves can be a vehicle of cross-contamination just like hands can. These aren't a replacement for hand washing. They must be changed at the same time when you would normally wash your hands, and you should wash your hands when changing them as you have touched the dirty gloves when taking them off. If you have a mild skin condition such as eczema, you may be able to wear gloves for this, but if the condition worsens, you may be given a job role that doesn't involve handling food given the risk. Your setting should work with you to discuss treatment and management of the condition. And hygiene habits. We have seen that bacteria prefers a temperature of 37 degrees to multiply. Our body temperature is also 37 degrees, so it's an ideal environment to harbour harmful pathogenic bacteria. Oh, here we go. It's a very long word. In fact, 15% of adults carry staph, which is strap, I think, on their skin in cuts, septic lesions, and 40% of adults carry that big long word in their nose and throat. It can be also found in your hair. It can be transmitted via hands to food. If not washed properly after eating, smoking, sneezing, or touching your hair, nose, ears, face before handling food. Food handlers should be healthy and have a clean personal habits to eliminate direct food contamination. Bad habits can creep in, especially when working in warm conditions. You need to be aware of them so you can try to stop them or remember to take action afterwards. So take a look at some more common ones here. Tasting food with your finger or an unwashed spoon, or putting the spoon back in the food after tasting. Don't double dip. Picking or scratching your nose. Wiping hands or on your chef towel or apron. Eating or chewing gum in the kitchen. Wiping your nose on your sleeve. Biting nails. Licking fingers to separate food bags or paper. Washing hands in the food sink and not the wash basin. And not wearing a head covering or other protective clothing. I laugh because my mum used to lick my face clean. You know, she said lick her finger then clean your face as a child. And your hair. Hair can cause a physical contamination and can also harbour bacteria. So always tie your hair back if it's long and wear a hairnet or head covering. And make sure that all the hair is tucked inside the hairnet or your hat. Beards should be kept short and well trimmed to stop hair falling out, or a beard snood must be worn if longer. And always put your hat or beard snood on before protective clothing to stop your hair from falling on. Jewellery. Watches and rings can harbour dirt and bacteria. so shouldn't be worn when handling foods. Stones in jewellery and the backs of earrings can also fall into foods. Some settings may allow plain wedding bands or sleeper-style earrings, but it's up to them and the policy. Smoking, we know that you should always wash your hands after smoking, but you also need to make sure that you'll change your outer protective clothing before you go outside to smoke. So take your uniform off before you do so. You should only smoke in the designated area and put your cigarette end in the correct waste container, not on the floor. Cuts and wounds. Always cover any cuts and wounds with a waterproof plaster, as they are a source of bacteria. It should also be a visible cover so it can be seen if it falls into the food. Protective clothing. The purpose of protective clothing is to protect the food from contaminants that could be on your ordinary clothing when travelling into work or from the home environment. They could also have parts such as buttons or clasps that could be a source of a physical contamination. So it needs to cover clothing completely. Short sleeves can be worn, but only on the forearm should be visible. Ideally, maybe light in colour so the dirt is visible. Have no external pockets, they can't harbour dirt or physical contaminants. Have poppers, not buttons. Not be worn outside or when travelling to work. Must be cleaned on a hot wash cycle. Shoes should be flat and non-slip. They should cover toes for safety and comfort reasons, and again, not worn to travel they should not be worn to travel to work in. Personal belongings should be kept outside the kitchen, as they can be harbour bacteria or be a physical contaminant. And reporting illness. If you're experiencing a foodborne illness with symptoms such as diarrhea and vomiting, you must inform your employer. This is because some illnesses can be passed on to others you work with or transferred via the food you prepare, such as norovirus. You should always visit your doctor if you're suffering from any of the following and tell them you're working with food. You need to stay off work for 48 hours from when your symptoms finish. Some illnesses such as salmonella may need to be tested to make sure that you're clear of the pathogen, as you can feel better but still be a carrier. It is just as important not to handle food if you have a persistent coughing or sneezing, as the droplets can carry infection to the food or the environment. Always sneeze and cough into the crook of your arm or a tissue and dispose of hygienically, and then wash your hands. For some illnesses such as salmonella caused by salmonellosis caused by salmonella bacteria, you may need to be tested to make sure that you're clear of the pathogen, as you can feel better but still be a carrier. How can most food poisoning bacteria be destroyed in food? By cooking, by thorough cooking, by cooking quickly, by rapid cooling, or by keeping it in the fridge. So how can most food poisoning bacteria, how can it be destroyed in food?
By thorough cooking.
Correct, Carol. Which of the following statements is correct? Select one option. Hands should be washed every hour. Freezing food kills all bacteria. Some spores and toxins can survive boiling. And long, slow cooling reduces the risk of food poisoning. I would say 3. Anyone else? I would say 3.
Yeah, go for it.
Yep. Correct. Protective clothing is worn in the kitchen too. Stop you from getting injured, to look good, to protect the food from contamination, or protect your own clothing.
Protect from contamination.
Yeah. Which of the following controls will not prevent cross-contamination? Washing your hands after handling allergens. Washing dirty salads and vegetables to remove bacteria. Keeping food in the fridge. And using separate prep areas for raw and cooked foods. So which of the controls will not prevent cross-contamination?
Keeping food in the fridge.
Correct. So in summary, in this module you have learned to handle and prepare food safely including how to thaw, cook, cool, reheat, and hot hold food, as well as how to properly take food temperatures. We've also covered safe procedures for food deliveries and storage, reduce the risk of contamination by including those of allergens and correct food labelling processes. We've also looked at the importance of good personal hygiene and what it means to regard with hand washing, clothing, and reporting illness. Well done. We've got module 5, which we can try and squeeze in, and then I'll record module 6. Introduction. In this module, we're going to learn and understand how a premises design impacts on food safety and hygiene and the legal requirements for facilities. You also gain an understanding of important food pests and their behaviour and control. We have seen that food safety hazards can be physical, chemical, microbiological, or allergenic. The design of your food, premises, and equipment can support effective controls in all of these areas, such as having the right layout to eliminate cross-contamination and having adequate hand washing facilities in the right place to promote effective hand washing. Also, if not maintained, structure and equipment itself can become a hazard, such as flaking paint from a wall above a food prep area, holes in the structure that allow pests to enter or damage food containers that become chipped and cause plastic to fall into the contents. We will also cover the different types of food pests and how we can spot signs that they are present and bring them under control. The law states that food premises must be kept clean, in good condition and repair, have adequate food and hand washing facilities and supply of drinking water, have adequate lighting, ventilation and drainage, be designed in a way to enable sufficient cleaning and disinfection, to be installed so that all surrounding areas can be accessed for cleaning, to be designed to eliminate the risk of cross-contamination, and have suitable temperature-controlled conditions. Design and construction principles. What does this look like? Click on the arrow to find out more. Cross-contamination. This needs to be eliminated at the design stage wherever possible by having a clean and dirty processes and raw and ready to eat food prep areas separated so that where they can be. There should also be a separate and ideally colour-coded equipment for raw and ready to eat food. Size and space. There should be an adequate storage for space for food and equipment, including fridge, freezers, to ensure that clean and dirty work areas are sufficiently separated. Fridges and freezers should have an adequate space around them to make sure that there's fridges and freezers should have adequate capacity to hold sufficient amounts of food at peak times. Washing facilities, there must be an adequate supply of hot around 40 degrees and cold less than 10 water, a sink for food washing and a separate sink for washing equipment and separate hand washing facilities. Wash hand basins should be at the centre of the kitchen and close to workstations, have a supply of soap and dry materials and not be obstructed or used for washing equipment. Cooking and cooling facilities, there must be an adequate equipment to cook, the volume of food needed and the space and equipment to safely cool foods if required. Staff facilities, staff toilets and where possible changing areas should be provided. Toilets should never have open direct into a food room. Oh, can someone mute themselves, please? That's okay. I don't know who that is, but please mute yourself. Thank you. Thank you. Toilets should never have an open direct into a food room. They should have separated by a ventilated space. Ventilation, suitable and sufficient ventilation is needed to regulate temperature, to prevent condensation which contaminate food and remove grease and fumes. Any appliances that produce steam and heat should be fitted with extraction hoods. And lighting, adequate levels of lighting are needed for safety, i.e. when a knife or order to generally spot hazards and to see clean and spot signs of pests. Cleaning, The structure itself should be constructed to aid effective cleaning, such as smooth and waterproof walls, floors, and ceilings without crevices and where food and dirt may build up. Coving at the wall and floor junctions is also a good idea. Ideally, ceilings should be painted in a light colour, so when they show up dirt and improve lighting. Any equipment should be able to be moved to be cleaned, such as flexible gas hoses on cooking equipment or equipment fitted with wheels and casters. Pest proof. Measures to prevent the entry of pests such as fly screens on open wall doors and windows and caps of open pipes. Your responsibilities. Telling your manager if you notice any damaged areas of the building or equipment. Do not use the area or equipment if it presents a risk to food until it can be repaired. This is common with chipped plastic food containers or heavy scored chopping boards. Tell the manager and owner if there's a problem with hot water supply, drainage, or if you don't have enough cleaning and hand washing facilities. Only use the equipment for the purpose it was intended. Follow the layout and workflow, such as using raw areas for raw food and not storing any raw items of equipment where they pose a risk to food. Keep the workplace and equipment clean and look out for signs of pests and report any of these to your manager. Equipment like structure may be made of cleansable materials like stainless steel and free from damage, otherwise they may become harmful and harbour harmful bacteria. You will recall that we covered cross-contamination in an earlier module and looked at the need for having colour-coded equipment. You don't have to stick to the set colour as long as you use the same colours for the same item every time. There's an industry standard for colour coding in kitchens, so it makes sense to use this. And then we're going to have a look. So we've got 7 chopping boards. Can anyone tell me what these ones here, where they go, and I will drag them to the right area. So we've got blue, green, white, brown, yellow, red, and purple.
White is bread and dairy.
That's correct.
Green
Red.
is
Raw meat.
fruit and veg.
Red is what? Raw meat.
Raw
some
meat,
say.
yeah, I think
Yeah.
so.
I think
Raw
blue
fish.
is raw fish.
Free from foods.
Yellow? No, that's I think yellow's washed. Or maybe yellow's
Unwashed
unwashed.
fruit
Brown
is
is
yellow.
Unwashed.
Brown is unwashed fruit and veg.
Oh yeah, brown is unwashed because I remember thinking
Yellow
about
is
potatoes.
washed.
Thinking about mud. Yeah.
And then we've got purple and green.
No,
Uh,
sorry. Green is washed. Green is washed fruit, salad and fruit.
Hold on.
Cooked is
Good
yellow
job.
and free from purple.
Yeah.
So free from is purple, did you say?
Mm.
Yeah.
And did someone say, and then what, that's cooked food is
Cooked
yellow?
is yellow.
Yeah.
Oh, nice one. Okay,
Correct.
She knows exactly. Discipline in the puzzle.
First aid provision. All settings need to have a fully stocked first aid kit to be used by their kitchen. It should contain a guidance card on first aid, brightly coloured, usually blue plasters, a set of disposable gloves, sterile, individually wrapped non-medicated wound dressings, a sterile eye patch, individually wrapped triangular bandage, and safety pins. If a child in this setting has severe allergy, there should be 2 in-date EpiPens available. Common food pests and their control. The law requires that food is protected from contamination and that food pests must be controlled. Food pests that can be insects or animals can cause contamination by eating or residing on the food we store and prepare, which presents a serious risk of food poisoning. They can also damage food packaging and the structure and equipment, generally causing a nuisance, as well as microbiological contamination, and they and their drop-ins can also cause a physical contamination. One of the main reasons an EHO close food premises is because they have a pest infestation that presents an imminent risk to health. There are simple measures that need to be taken to prevent these from accessing the building excessive food and waste and control them if they do cause problems. It is important that we are able to spot the signs of pest activity and that you know what to do to support the pest control operative to eradicate them. Why do pests need to be controlled? They spread disease by transferring food poisoning bacteria with their bodies and by contaminating food with urine and feces, which can cause illness. They also contaminate food with droppings and eggs. Pests must be controlled to comply with the law. Pests gnaw raw food packaging and contents, resulting in contaminated product and cause damage to the fabrics of buildings and fittings by gnawing through ducting and electrical cables, which can result in fires. Working in the pest-infected environment is not pleasant and can affect staff morale. Infestations can lead to complaints and increased visits from environmental health. Any repairs to the structure may need to be done as an emergency measure, which is likely to cost more. Damage to the structure that rats and mice can cause is costly, particularly if it causes a fire. And increased food waste is contaminated and increased food waste if contaminated or potentially contaminated. Control also applies to domestic animals like cats and dogs, as they can also carry bacteria, so present a contamination risk. To keep them out of any food rooms. And why do they come into our premises? They come into our buildings and kitchens because they're looking for warmth, food, harbourage, and moisture. We can therefore discourage them by preventing access to the building in the first place, no warmth, by storing food and waste securely, by preventing harbourage by checking and cleaning areas inside and outside regularly, and food packaging, waste material, and any redundant equipment inside or outside can be used for nesting. There are different types of food pests. So we've got a house mouse, a brown rat, a cockroach, a house fly, product pests, and pests themselves. Drag the signs of activity to the correct pest. So we've got large drop-ins. We've got moths, rats, mice, or cockroach. So large drop-ins.
Rats.
Rats, yep. Chewed packaging with small drop-ins in the packet tray.
Mice.
Insects with minute drop-ins visible to worktops or skirting edges.
Ooh. Cockroaches.
I don't know that one. Soap damage.
Hmm.
Who eats soap?
Can we have more than one in a box?
You could add more than one in the box, yeah.
I'd go mouse. Mice.
Larva and webbing.
Moths.
Power cable damage.
Rats.
Rats.
There's a rat in my kitchen. Outside wall damage.
Ooh. Rats or mice.
I'll say rats. Small drop-ins.
Mice. Rats. Both, but
And
well, I
egg-
don't know about rats.
Egg case.
Cockroaches.
Check. Partially correct.
Oh.
Use a show answer. So I think the
Oh,
soap
rats,
damage,
soap
Carol,
damage.
was rats. Pest control methods. There are 3 elements to pest controls: deny access, discourage, and treatment. Each one is important, so let's look at each one in more detail. Deny access. Again, it's not working. The term is called pest proofing. In its simplest term, it means keeping doors and windows closed or screened when open. And again, it's not working on this part. Discourage. This is generally called good housekeeping, removing harbourage from around the building, disused equipment, overgrown vegetation. Keep waste areas clean and tidy with lids. Keeping food in pest-proof containers with lids and off the floor. Regularly move equipment to clean and check for signs of activity. Clean up spillages and food debris to remove food sources. Check deliveries on arrival for signs of infestation. Keep foods covered during preparation and when you're not using them. Regularly check foods for signs of pest damage and remove contaminated stock. And keep drains clean and in good condition. And treatment. Even when all the above is in place, pests do sometimes gain entry and therefore need to be treated by physical or chemical means. Physical is a trap where pests are caught, and chemical is baiting with poison or sprays. And unfortunately, there's no images to click on. Test your knowledge. You need to know what to do if you identify you have a potential pest infestation. So let's see if we can put the following steps in the right order. So we've got 6 steps. You've got sanitize and clean your area thoroughly. Discard contaminated food and record things that you've done in your folder. If evidence of pests are found, contact your pest control. Ensure control activity continues with problem until the problem is gone. Immediately action any recommendations by the contractor and ensure the contractor records any information in their book. So what would we do first?
Clean and sanitize your area thoroughly, because then you'd see where, if you've got pests.
You want to keep that one as number 1, yes?
Does that sound right? That's how you're going to notice it, isn't it?
Okay. Yep, I think so. Yep, number 2.
If evidence of pests.
Yes, if evidence of pests, it just doesn't sound right in any other form in the sentence either.
You want that as number 2?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, number 3, would you discard the food and record that what you've done in your book? Or would you call the pest control first?
You'd call them first, I think.
What, before you throw the food away?
Well, I might throw the
Oh,
food away in case somebody eats it.
So would you put
I'd
that as
put-
number 4?
I'd call them while I'm throwing the food away.
Very sensible.
And I put that as number 5. Does
See,
that
I
sound
think I think you should have to call the pest control as the very first thing.
If you see something, you'd call them to put them in
Yeah,
to come
straight
out.
away before then do the other things. 'Cause it
What would
saves
you
No, I
change?
think
So
maybe the food. You're
Mm.
going to throw the food away, surely. Or are you keeping it for the man to look at?
Everyone's got their own different ways. So should we check if this is correct? Yeah, let's submit this. Partially correct. Let's have a look. So you wouldn't clean first, Carol. So you'd actually,
Yeah.
if you found the pests, you would contact the pest control first. You would discard the food. You would then clean the area. You would then look at the recommendations for the pest control person and ensure that any action is taken in your book, and then make sure the problem is looked at until it's gone. So yeah. Self-assessment questions. Which of the following best describes the reason why food pests must be controlled? And this is only one option. Pests increase the amount of cleaning. Pests may make food taste unpleasant. Pests will affect stock levels by eating food, and pests can contaminate food.
Yeah.
Yep, correct. Which of the following are common food pests? Bees, fleas, and moths. Cat, foxes, and rats. Bird, rats, and cockroaches, or birds, dogs, and cats.
Birds, rats, and cockroaches.
Birds, rats, and cockroaches.
Correct. Which of the following does not need to be included in a first aid kit? paracetamol, gloves, sterile dressing, or brightly coloured waterproof plasters?
Paracetamol.
Correct. Which of the following facilities is not a legal requirement to have in the kitchen? A blast chiller, hot and cold running water, adequate space to store food, or separate sinks for hand washing, food and equipment washing?
Blast chiller.
A blast chiller. Correct. And so in summary, in this module, we have learned how premises design impacts on food safety and hygiene and the legal requirements for facilities. You've also learned to recognise the signs of common pests and how they can be controlled. And as I said before, I will record module 6 on Friday, and then I will probably then send to Julia to upload onto YouTube because it's 8 o'clock. And we spent 3 hours with me this week, which you're very lucky. And I will let you all go to your evening and enjoy the rest of your hump day. And I will see you all soon. Thank you very much, my ladies.
Thanks,
Thanks.
Claire.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Claire.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.